Well, you've heard from what I would call a very interesting case study of a country that did it. We have an issue, and luckily, if you listen to the Vice President this morning, you know that we accept that we have a problem. And I believe now that we have a leadership that wants to tackle this issue. The one thing I can tell you is that in any reform, the most critical ingredient to start off is leadership. Leadership that wants to do it. And I believe, I speak for the Vice President, you are here anyway, that we have a leadership that wants to do it, but the question, of course, is that how? How are we going to do it? I mean, it's not going to be easy. And it's, as you heard from the case of the Georgia example, somebody's got to orchestrate it. Somebody's got to make it happen. And so we have on the panel a gentleman that is head of civil, the Director General Bureau of Public Service Reform. Yeah. And we also have the head of the Civil Service of the Federation. I think I would like to hear from these two gentlemen first, just to kick off the discussion. Maybe we'll start with the head of the Civil Service of the Federation.
The Vice President, panelists, gentlemen, good morning. Is it 12? No, as a lawyer, and I have a senior colleague here, at the bar, everybody is a male.
Ladies and gentlemen, he was referring to the Vice President.
Yeah, I want to start by endorsing completely, wholly, the speech and the statements made by my principal, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm endorsing it because he has given us a directive to go on to implement without delay all the initiatives that this government is bringing in as change. Yeah, I note with a lot of interest the presentation given to us by our brother from Georgia. He made some observations that I thought we could borrow. Sorry, I made some notes somewhere. As the head of civil service of the Federation, my concern is with the human resource. My concern is essentially with the human resource, because if you don't have competent civil servants or public officers, they won't be able to deliver effective and efficient services to the populace. And so, my own bit is to create an environment for civil servants to continuously improve themselves in terms of capacity building. We have two twin important programs that we have started. And we believe that if we have the support of the private sector, who are the greatest beneficiaries of the services rendered by public institutions, we will be able to give you a better product through better civil servants and public servants. The first program is intended to train virtually every civil servant over the course of time. For example, if you are employed today in the civil service, you spend 2 to 3 years before you attempt promotion exam. It is our hope and belief that during that period, there are certain cross-cutting principles of governance that need to be taught to officers of the service. before you attempt your promotion exams, you should have been put through those training programs. And that is from grade levels 8 to 17. And I'm happy to announce that the National School of Government of Britain assisted us in providing the curriculum through, of course, DFID. We have the second leg, which is the leadership component, that is targeted at the smart ones that we identify from the general capacity building to further improve their leadership qualities on that particular program. I noticed that he said, although I think the mic was not very clear, he did say that private sector, a lot of things that they felt could be better done by the private sector was ceded to them. The private sector in Nigeria does not see themselves as part of public service. You are part of public service. Because if there is corruption today, it is because the private sector had a role to play. Yeah, definitely. Because, yeah, we have to encourage the private sector to report cases of corruption to the appropriate authorities. Sorry, I'm happy with the following principles as enunciated by our colleague from Georgia. Silence is consent. I think that is something I will take away and we will try to implement here in Nigeria. I told you that my role as a civil servant is that of human resources. The individual is the most important component in the productivity cycle. And so we believe that the mindset of the civil servant or the public servant has to be worked on. That is one of the areas we intend to work on seriously. And it's just not the mindset of the civil servant or the public servant, but the mindset of Nigerians, both the public sector and the private sector. We also imbibed the principle that the customer is the boss and the customer is always right. That we practice. That we practice. Now,
Mr. Kifasi, I think I'll have to stop you so I can just round up one more. Yeah, okay.
Now, at the moment, we have an initiative of open government, open document, and citizen-centric governance by trying to put as much of what we have in government in form of data and information on the internet. But we have a challenge. The challenge is that of funding. Okay. And so with the zero budgeting coming in now, we believe that we will be able to justify every bit of expenditure that will enable us move in that direction.
Okay,
thank you.
Now can we take a pause at this one? Yeah, thank you very much for your contribution. Can we have some quiet, please, so we can carry on? Again, we have on the panel a former minister, and one of the things you just talk to anybody who served in government in the capacity of minister, particularly those who came from the public sector, to tell you their experience, why they weren't able to do all this they wanted to do. All this series on the public service, and many of the what I would call the achieving ministers have tended to do that, supplant that by bringing in people from the private sector to support them in advisory capacity and so on.